Hello, this is Anna Lowe, author of the Fire Maidens, Billionaires and Bodyguards series. Today I thought I'd do something different and talk to you a little bit about how I research for each of the books in the series that travels all around Europe. So that the focus today will be Venice, which will be book 7 of the series. So it'll be a total of 9. And yeah, I just thought that would show you a little bit of how I research and how that gives me inspiration for what will actually end up in the story. So out of the Fire Maidens series, I had been to all those places, Paris, London, Rome, etc., before. In fact, the only place I had never been before writing the series is Portugal. And I went there specifically to research for this series. And lucky me, I live in the middle of Europe, right in the middle, right in the center. So it's actually quite easy to get around. When I used to live like in New England, I lived in Boston, and you can get to Vermont for the weekend quite easily. So it's very similar actually in Europe. I can go to Paris for the weekend, I can go to Venice for the weekend. So depending where you live, that might sound exotic, and it is in a way, but yeah, it's all within range for me to do from home. And some of it I have done on weekends. So I've traveled all around Europe for most of my life at different times. And what I've done is gone back and revisited each of these places to refresh my memory and to specifically look for new inspiration. So let's look at Venice. And Venice is a city I've been to several times. But like I said, I went back recently just to research for this book. And so there's, of course, the things you expect. You know that Venice has the gondolas and the beautiful views and St. Marco's Basilica. I know most people would know that there's the symbol of Venice is the winged lion. So of course that will play a big role in this book. I don't want to give away too much. Hopefully it's not too obvious. And of course, you probably know that Venice has a lot of problems with environmental problems, I guess you can say. The water level is rising. The lagoon is not providing enough protection, and the city is slowly sinking. And you get these beautiful old palaces that they have water seeping in to the basements and to the ground floors. So as I went around Venice recently, I just took a lot of pictures to cement that in my memory. But for step 1, let's back up a little bit. So there's those things you know about the city that are kind of the obvious things. And then I planned my trip in a way that I could set myself up to hopefully get some new experiences in some less known parts of the city. So first what I did is I booked myself into a hostel. And I know what you're thinking, hostels, big groups, loud young people. This one is a beautiful old hostel in a former convent. And I got a single room with a view on the canal. And that right away gave me ideas, because this is what the hostel looks like. It's quite stunning. And right out my window was this former palace with its own little garage, you can say, but it's for a motorboat. And of course, the whole house needs a lot of repairs. But boom, the first view out my window on the first day gives me an idea that, I want my heroine to be there. Does she inherit this building? Does somebody live there who invites her? I'm not sure yet, and I don't want to give too much away, but just looking out your window on day 1, you get ideas. And for my research, I tried to set myself up for special experiences that might give me insights. So I actually signed up for a class on how to row. It's like a gondola. The gondola has 1 rower, and this is called a topa, and it has 2 rowers, the person in the back and the person in the front. So I got a topa lesson for 2 hours, and I got to go around the canal and row for myself and see what it's like. And that gave me a lot of ideas. I started out thinking maybe the hero might be a rower, a topa rower, or a gondolier. Maybe not, we'll see. But it was a great experience just anyway. Highly recommend it. To just see the canal, not on your own, like alone, because you have your teacher with you, thank God, because I would have gotten lost. but just to really experience something. And in a similar vein, I, knowing that Venice, and specifically the neighboring island of Murano, was famous for its glass, I took a glass making course. I actually took that on Venice. And these are actually very easy to find, these type of experiences, because Airbnbs, you can book experiences. And this is one of the experiences you can book. For 2 hours, I got to learn how to make glass and make little figurines. It was really great. Okay, so I kind of set myself up to experience things. And then, of course, you just walk around the city and see what you encounter. This is a statue I completely fell in love with. I think it's a statue for Italian independence, or unification, I should say. Beautiful winged dragon, just showing so much motion. And this very ferocious dragon is definitely inspiring me for some of the action scenes in this book. Another thing I did is, some of the things I go around the city and I do like the normal things to do, and some things I do not the normal things to do. So among the normal things is visiting the Doge's palace, and adjacent to that is the old prison. You go over the Bridge of Sighs, and that's where the prison is, and the story has it that Casanova was imprisoned there, but he escaped. But simply walking down the stairs, or up the stairs in this case, it already gives you start to give you an idea of, maybe some kind of dungeon, some kind of creepy thing happening. Again, walking around the city, there's a lot of churches. Oh my God, are there a lot of churches in Venice? This is the Greek Orthodox Church with St. George slaying the dragon, and of course, a dragon slayer, more inspiration. In a shop window, I stumbled across these crazy peacock chairs, and I'm totally just instantly pictured like the bad, like a villainess, sitting and giving orders from her peacock throne. We'll see how I managed to work that in. Again, walking around the city, you just come across cool things like the Assassin's Lane, so-called Assassin's Lane, named so because there were so many bodies found there, and this goes way back to the Middle Ages. Venice is a very safe city these days. Then I came across this, which is really interesting. This is talks about how the lagoon, they're trying to protect the lagoon by restoring the seagrass, and this is definitely going to play a major role in what my heroine does, why she is in Venice, and why she would make a good fire maiden. And again, just walking around the city, I take pictures as I go of little details as well, and I think it's details like this that really transport you to the place, right? A lot of people say, I love hearing that people enjoy my books because they feel like they've traveled there themselves, and I think part of that is just these little details, how these look, these brass bells, how they might sound when you're up in the apartment, and so on. Then I had also planned, I had done my research and thought, there's a lot of islands in the lagoon of Venice. Venice itself is made up of countless islands, bridged together very tightly, but further out in the lagoon are other islands. And I had never been there, and this is the island of Burano. There's a closer island called Murano, and then there's this island, it's about 40 minutes out on a ferry ride, called Burano. And it's like a little Venice, more colorful, but it's got the little canals. So having done my research, I knew I wanted to spend a day out in the outer islands and just walking around. They've got the campanile, just like Venice does. But as you walk around, again, the details, the laundry, can't you just see a chase scene, ducking under the laundry as they run? My lunch was at a beautiful canal-side restaurant, and it became my favorite new meal. It's called spaghetti alla vongole. It's spaghetti with clams, and this one is topped with shrimp. Delicious. So you know what my heroine's going to be eating. The island next to Murano, this is a total surprise to me, is called Mazzorbo. You can just cross on a little bridge, and it has beautiful little tiny vineyard. And they have a really high, like a classy restaurant at the edge of this vineyard. And I thought, we can have my hero take the heroine out to dinner at this place. So that's another idea. So you can get to these islands by ferry. That's how I got there. But of course, I can just picture my hero and heroine getting there in a classic motorboat of their own. But the biggest surprise to me was the island of Torcello. It's way out in the lagoon. It's not that far from Burano, actually, but it's, again, like 40 minutes from Venice itself. And that really surprised me. I thought, oh, I'll just go. They have a very old basilica with important mosaics inside it. And I thought, well, I'll go. But as I was there, I thought, oh my God, what a place to set an action scene. And it just kind of unfolded in my mind as I went. Very few people live on this island. So as you get off the ferry and you walk along a little mini canal on this brick path, and it winds around, it's kind of mysterious what's going to be around the corner. So it's very atmospheric. You come along the corner, you can see the church in the distance and this old bridge. So what's across the bridge? Let's go find out. And I walked across the bridge, and there's a little path between two fields. It's a gravel path, and just walking on it, you hear from your own sandals, the crunch of the gravel, and you can just picture lion paws or wolf paws rushing down this in some kind of fight scene that would happen in the end. Further down, there's a little wall in this little lane, and the wall is crumbling. It's a perfect place for a lion to jump into the orchard, and you can have like a fight in there. You can hide in there. Then you come out further down, and there's this little path along the canal that leads to the church and the tower of the church. And that is just an amazing little rabbit warren in itself. There's these archways, and there's several different church it's a whole complex of the church and a bigger basilica in the older church, and you can just run between them. And of course, I spent a long time looking at that tower, thinking about how my heroine might get cornered up there and how she could escape from her plight. So the Island of Torcello gave me a lot of ideas. Then back to Venice, and again, I got to spend 5 days there recently. In spite of COVID, things had quieted down. This was in June 2020. I was able to go there, and it was amazing because there were hardly any tourists while I was there. So it felt quite safe, and you had to wear a mask, etc., inside and on the ferries. But it was actually easy to social distance in Venice. So that will be the only thing that I think will be hard for me, is to imagine Venice full. I'll have to go back to my earlier memories to make that realistic for the book. Okay, well, that is it. It's just a little sampler of how I set up my research trips. I have the expected parts and I have the totally unexpected parts. And right now it's all percolating in my mind, and I've got quite a bit of it figured out, but not all the details. So that's what I'm doing next, is actually starting to outline and brainstorm those details. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to bringing you Fire Maidens Venice in the near future. Thanks for tuning in today, for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.